Here's a nice little hip mobility sequence for you. You're going to be using a yoga bolster, and you're going to try and get into 2 end ranges of either hip extension or hip flexion. And then down in those extremes, we're either going to be playing with moving our body in abduction, adduction, and external and internal rotation. So I'm going to plop down and I'm going to put my pelvis up on a bolster. And then I'm going to drive into this position, and I'm going to try and start to feel these tissues through my hip. I'm going to drive my heel down into the ground, driving a little bit of hip extension, and then I'm going to IR my hip and adduct, IR, abduct, ER, and driving my heel down into the ground, working on that hip extension, and then driving up, and I'm going to go into hip flexion and work on the same motion. Really trying to hit that end range on hip flexion and hit that end range on abduction, adduction, and rotation. Other side. Really driving a little bit of a gentle stretch there, rotation and abduction, adduction. You can see when I'm in that hip extension on this side, it really tests my ability to rotate, which is fantastic. Switch. Really test that hip flexion, drive across, hit end range. One of the things I'm doing here is I'm trying to feel my pelvis nice and stable. It's my hip joint moving, not my pelvis rolling on the bolster. So back to the other side. Try and create a sense of hip extension here. Internal rotation, and I could be doing internal rotation either an abduction or adduction, and just can I drive that heel down into the ground and rotate through the hip, and then can I flex that hip up and combine those motions. So I was working on that this morning and I loved it, so I thought I'd share. The the bolster on the pelvis really helps you achieve those positions.